Hello, I'm Sarah Joy, and this is Sarah's Joyful Journey. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am super excited. This is our first Wellness Wednesday, and I have just spent a bunch of time just researching and figuring out, what wellness truly is. And I'm super excited that I'm going to be doing this segment weekly. It's going to be something that I think is going to be very fun and broad. Wellness covers every aspect of our lives. It's not something that's just about self care or stuff like that. It's not just about mental health. So if you like this segment, be sure to like it and give a big thumbs up. I would love to hear any suggestions that you have for topics that you would like me to research and talk about. Wellness is something that is I'm definitely now passionate about. After researching, I've realized how much wellness is all about the whole person, the whole body, the whole everything. It's about everything. So, what did I learn about wellness? So, wellness is an active pursuit. It's something that you are actively doing. It's not passive. It is something that you have to do. You have to work towards, you have to achieve it. And it's performed by the individual. So, you're the only one that can determine what wellness looks like for you. I have found that there's areas of wellness and that we should strive to have wellness in all of those areas, but it is something that is very individual. So it is a person's own responsibility to develop those wellness goals for their lives. It's going to be an adventure, I have a feeling. So I'm sure you're going to see my excitement because I think that this just connects with everything with this channel. It connects with my goals and my pursuit for my PhD in with psychology and health, and I'm just super excited. So I'm sure that is going to be apparent. I do have lots of notes, so you're going to see me looking down at those notes just to make sure that I'm covering all my points and I am just on track. All right, so what I found out is there are 8 dimensions to wellness. I was surprised by this. I previously thought that wellness was about physical, spiritual, and mental well-being, and it is about those things, but there's so much more to it as well. So the 8 dimensions of wellness are emotional wellness, occupational wellness, intellectual wellness, environmental wellness, financial wellness, social and physical and spiritual wellnesses. So I'm going to break down each of these sections and I'm going to give some tips for how to improve in those areas, ways to start thinking about those areas. So this first video is just going to be covering those different sections and talking about them and putting a focus on them. So it's just designed to make us think, to make us learn. And I do have a topic pick for next week, which I mentioned in my vlog, that I read an article this week that I found really inspiring and fascinating. So I will share that next week, and it'll involve a little bit about some of these different areas of wellness. So, wellness is about caring for your mind, your body, and your soul. Our culture and our life experiences affect our wellness. So like I said already, wellness is different for every person. It's going to look different for every person. And that's okay. So what works for me may not necessarily work for you. So we have to remember to keep an open mind. That was something that when I was researching these different areas of wellness, that it kept saying, be curious and keep an open mind. Because there is no right or wrong way to wellness. Will we all have similar goals? Yeah, probably. But what I find beneficial for me may not be beneficial for you. And that's okay. So we're going to create this community and give ourselves an opportunity to talk about these things. And remember, above all, to do this with kindness. That is part of my mission statement, which I have shared several times, and I'm sure I will share several more times. So, when it comes to emotional wellness, what is emotional wellness? Emotional wellness is being aware of our feelings and our responses to these feelings. I like to think about this as making sure that for me personally, recognize that my feelings are valid. So many times in my childhood, I was not allowed to express certain feelings, whether that be anger, sadness, whatever. I was oftentimes put down for those. So for me, it's about being aware of these feelings and that these feelings are valid and okay. So that's important to me when it comes to emotional wellness. So when I have bad days, I'll talk about it. If I'm not in a positive mental space, I'll talk about it. My goal is to change those and always have a positive outlook on life and not to let the negativity rule my life. And I definitely don't want to be involved in toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is where you always put a positive spin on everything and you don't deal with the negative emotions. You don't deal with the emotions. You're just like, oh, well, at least this is positive in this situation. And you just don't deal with the underlying causes or reasons for why you felt the way you felt in the first place. So it was like, for example, like transitional duty. For me, this was not a positive thing. I was not happy about it. I was very, very upset, and I was very vocal about being upset about it. Do I realize that there was a purpose and a need for it? Yes. But my feelings about it were valid and it's okay. I don't have to just say, oh, well, it's just so I can rest and relax and get healthy. That is true, and that does not change from being true, but I still have to honor those feelings that I felt. I was not happy about it. I think that the way transitional duty works at Disney, I have some very passionate feelings about it, is not great. It often feels like punishment. You're just not cared about. You're very much, in some ways, the behavior that you see and you experience is very dehumanizing. And I do not agree with that aspect. So to have to go back into a situation where that was going to be my daily life for the most part for the next several weeks is something that I was not excited about. And that's okay. That's very valid. So accept those. Make sure that we're not falling into toxic positivity. All right. So when we have awareness of our emotions, this allows us to better understand how we feel, why we feel a way, and it allows us the opportunity to respond actively to these feelings. So we want to make sure that we are responding healthily. Anger is a normal response. It is a healthy response. But do we want to be exhibiting anger in unhealthy ways? Here are some examples of what I think exhibiting anger in unhealthy ways would be. One, you're throwing things at something. You're breaking things. You're calling people names or whatever. Those are not healthy ways to exhibit anger. A healthy way to exhibit anger is say, I'm angry. This makes me upset. I am not okay with this. And you have to not yell. You have to communicate that effectively and be able to manage conflict by stating it without, reacting in a way that is potentially harmful to yourself and to others around you. So how can we cultivate emotional wellness? So I found that, to create emotional wellness, you need to spend time in quiet and reflection. I am very introspective person naturally. I think that's kind of why I like psychology, is because psychology is very much introspective and it's about deep thinking. So take time to reflect, keep a journal. If that helps you, be quiet. Just allow yourself to really think and feel and process why you feel the way that you feel. And like I said, know that those feelings are valid and it's okay to have those feelings. Don't try to stuff them and ignore them. Deal with them. Learn how to grow and respond to them in a healthy manner. So smile, laugh. Those are great ways to have a positive, healthy emotion wellness. Learn how to have the courage to seek help when you need help and seek support when you need support. And this doesn't have to be with just emotional well-being. This can be if you're experiencing some mental health issues. Don't be afraid. It's okay to go get help. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't say anything less about you needing help. We all need help. we're not perfect and we never will be perfect. So seek help when you get it. Seek support when you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for it. No one is going to think less of you. And if they do think less of you, they're definitely a person that you do not want to have in your life. They are not supportive of you or understanding of you, and they need to go to the outer realms of your social circle, because you've got to put you first. And this is something that was very hard for me to learn, and I've only just started learning it and realizing it in the past couple of years. It's not selfish to put yourself first, because you're the only one that's going to take care of you. Yes, we have responsibilities to friends and coworkers and family and all that kind of stuff, and that will never change. But I am responsible for me 100% of the time. I can only control me and what I do. I can't control others. So I have to take responsibility for my actions and my emotions, and I have to accept those and accept the consequences that come with it. And I'm so sorry if you can hear my dog whining. She is not happy that I am in here recording this video and she is out there. Plus, it looks like it's going to storm, and she doesn't do well in thunderstorms. Oh, right. So other things, we need to make sure that we're sharing our thoughts and feelings with others that we trust. We don't want to share private information about our lives with those who we cannot trust. We definitely want to make sure that we are in a safe place for that, so that, our feelings don't get trampled upon and diminished and devalued. All right, journaling is something that can be very beneficial here if that's your type of thing. If you respond well to writing down your thoughts and feelings, that's fantastic. That's a great way to do it. Sometimes I write things down. I tend to be just a lot more thoughtful. I'll sit with some quiet music and just think for hours. It's what works for me. All right. Be sure that we're also not just takers. So what I mean by that is make sure that you're not just sharing everything with other people's and not being receptive of those people in your lives. So you want to listen to their emotions, their feelings, and sharing with their experiences with you. It's a two-way street. It goes back and forth. It's not just one way. All right. Practice gratitude. I really like that. We do need to be grateful for what we have. Not everything in life is butterflies and roses, and it's never going to be that way, but we have a lot to be grateful for. So practicing gratitude, be kind to ourselves. I think that is a huge lesson, and one that I take very seriously at this point in my life is being kind to myself. I was not always kind to myself. I started learning to be kinder to myself once I got my autism diagnosis, and I was able to start reflecting on how my life was affected by my autism, even though it wasn't recognized until I was in my 40s. So I have to remember to be kind, to give myself grace, forgive myself for things that I didn't have control over. All right. And then we've got to make sure that we're taking care of our bodies, eating the proper foods, whatever works for us. We want to eat foods that are nourishing and make us feel good. We want to be active, move our bodies, and make sure we're doing sleep and managing our stress as well. So that is how we can improve our emotional wellness. This one was one that I was not aware of before, like emotional wellness. That pretty much was something that I connected with wellness, but I had never thought about it from any other perspective when it comes to occupational wellness. But it does make sense. The more that I think about it, you do want to make sure that we are in careers and jobs that are fulfilling to us and satisfying to us, and hopefully aren't stressing us out. Does that mean that job doesn't cause stress? No, jobs cause stress. Does that mean that our jobs have to be happy all the time? Yeah, that's just not life. And that's an unrealistic expectation to have if that's what we're looking for. We're not guaranteed our happiness all the time, because life is a challenge. So with occupational wellness, the goal for us should be to have a rewarding career and jobs that satisfy and enrich us. We want our jobs to be something we enjoy going to. We love doing our jobs. Our jobs, feed us in a way that we want to keep showing up and we want to keep doing it. We don't want it to be mundane or dread our jobs and stuff like that. So that is something to consider. So one thing they say here is that we need to keep an open mind. We need to reflect often, because jobs change as organizations change and businesses change, things change. So what could have been a healthy occupational job for you could change depending on the environment, the people around you. So it's not like just because you're in a job or a career that, sorry, I'm going to stretch out. Hopefully I won't hit the camera because my knee is very much bothering me today. So we need to reflect so that we make sure that our jobs and our occupations are still providing the optimal environment for wellness. So it says advance your career by taking advantage of services. One thing that Disney does that I wish I was able to take advantage of, and I tried to take advantage of, but ultimately this program didn't align with my goals, and that's fine, is Disney offers the Aspire program, which means that employees at the hourly level, not manager or salaried, they have a different type of program. But for hourly employees, Disney will pay for either an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's degree at no cost to you. You do have, there's other things that are involved, like you have to maintain good grades, stuff like that. If you don't, they will not pay for it. But it's a wonderful opportunity to advance your career. They also cover career certificates. You can take foreign languages. So it's a pretty good program. So I only discussed that just to mention, a type of program so you know what you're looking for. Certificate classes, or if you see something on the web that would apply to your career, and take it, advance it, learn it. It only benefits you when it comes to your overall career. They said to explore different careers. Like if you're not happy in the career you're in now, reflect on what you could do to change jobs or change careers. What is going to be most aligned with your goals and what you want for your future. They say to practice open communication. I think that this is very, very important. And it says to use proper conflict management. This is something that is not always seen. I work, of course, for Disney World, and in my area, we are a team of about 400 individuals. So we're a big team. So I see lots of examples of poor conflict management. I'm not going to go into that. We all know what poor conflict management is, or if we don't, we can think about it. And it's not too hard to do that. But one thing that I will use as an example of open communication and just being open, the first transitional duty assignment I got was not going to work well for our family and for us having one car. I was open about that, and I was honest about that with my leaders, and by communicating my concerns and my issues, I was able to get my assignment changed. While the assignment isn't as happy for me on the workload, it works better for my family. It works a better time schedule. It makes it convenient for us. So therefore, it is overall a better assignment. Nothing's ever perfect. We can't expect perfection out of our jobs or even out of our own lives. They also said to set realistic goals. This is something that I started learning about in my undergrad, and I use it in my daily life. I use these type of goals. I set realistic goals for my health journey, for what I'm doing for me. For me and my health journey, weight loss is actually not my focus. It's the side effect. The other things are my focus: improving my health, improving my blood, my metabolic markers through blood, by improving my physical strength and my emotional health. All those things that are affected for me by my diet are important in it. So it's not necessarily about the weight, although that is really cool. I love that side benefit too, and but it's not my only goal or my only purpose. So to set realistic goals, an example of that would be using SMART goals. So SMART goals are something that we can set that is specific. We want to write down exactly what our goals. For me, for an example, for one right now, I want to build muscle. Okay, that's a specific goal. It's something that we can attain. So it's measurable. So building muscle is measurable for me. So I'm taking my measurements, and I am taking lots of pictures. I am making sure that I am using my in-body scale, which gives me a good estimate of my muscle mass. So all these things are ways that I can measure my progress towards that specific goal. You want it to be something that's achievable. So you can put a time frame, or you can put like a specification, like I could say I want to gain 5 pounds of muscle. I didn't get that specific because I didn't know what was a realistic estimation of what would be a good amount of muscle to put on. And I'm sure it's something that's very subjective anyway and individualized for each individual person, but we still want it to be something that is achievable. I can still achieve the goal of putting on muscle. And I'll know that based on my tracking and how I feel, all those kinds of things, so I can still achieve this goal. And it's realistic. It's something that I can actually do. I mean, if I were to say that I want to win the lottery, it's my goal to win the lottery, that would not be a realistic goal. It could happen. I'd have to play the lottery, which I don't because I think it's a waste of money, but that's my personal opinion. Those of you who want to play the lottery, more power to you. And you want to set a time frame that you want to achieve this by. For me, I have set my goal for this year is to put on muscle, and I want to see how far I can get in a year. Does that mean I'll have fully achieved my goal? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but I still have a focus for this year that I'm putting on muscle for this entire year, and I'll reassess, reevaluate, and go from there once I get there. I know one of my long-term goals is I want a heavy lift. I know that this is just, my husband thinks I'm going to get all buff and he calls it beast mode. And I'm like, yeah, I want to unlock beast mode. I want to heavy lift. I think that there are some good benefits to heavy lifting, and I plan to do it because I want to be strong and I want to be active for the rest of my life. I have so much time to make up for. Not that I'll ever be able to make up for it, but I can improve my life going forward, and I can increase the longevity of my life going forward by having more muscle and being active in all the health goals that I'm striving for. All right, so intellectual wellness. This one definitely is something I'm passionate about, as evidenced by the fact that I am studying for a PhD, which I think I read somewhere only 1% of the population achieves. But does this mean that we have to go to school in order to achieve intellectual wellness? No. Academics is just one branch of intellectual wellness. So there's other ways that we can achieve intellectual wellness and things that we can do. So the goal of intellectual wellness is to engage in creative and mentally stimulating activities. It's about lifelong learning and curiosity. So we're asking questions, we're learning, we're not just stagnant in our life. We don't just take things at face value and that's it. We ask questions, we want to learn more, we research, we pursue new hobbies, we say we have a passion about history or the Tudors, which is one of my favorite areas of history to research. Get books on it, read it, learn it. I also like pirates. I have several books about pirates. I haven't read them yet, but as I get more time, I'll read books that interest me. I read books about keto and health and mental health and psychology. Those are all things that interest me, and I read and I learn. So you never stop growing, never stop learning. That's what intellectual wellness is. You can be, it can happen through academics, being involved in your culture, in your community, personal hobbies, which is something I'm really passionate about as well as my hobbies. For those of you that don't know, I am involved in fiber arts. I do everything from sewing, which is not my main hobby, but I do sew. I can sew my own clothes. I haven't in many, many years. Maybe once I get to my goal weight, I will start sewing more of my own clothes. I have a long-term goal of weaving fabric to make my own clothes. I have done some of this, a couple of things before, so I'm excited that I can continue that in my future. I'm not doing a whole lot right now towards that, just because my body is still changing fairly rapidly. but I did a few things just because they're fun and I enjoyed them. I have one top that I love. It's oversized. It's meant to be oversized. There will eventually come a point where I won't be able to wear it, but for now, it's a pretty shapeless garment and will work for multiple sizes. So I feel like I'll be able to get use and enjoyment out of something that I spent so much time creating and doing, that really promotes emotional health for me as well, because I get opportunities to be quiet and to reflect with my weaving. I spin my own yarn. That is something that is relaxing. It creates an environment where I can quiet my mind and focus and think and process. So those are all important hobbies for me. I knit, I crochet. So those, I'm just involved in the fiber art spectrum. Other hobbies that I've done in the past, I have done cake decorating, which I love. It's so much fun. I was really, really good at it for a while, and I did do it as a profession. I was a professional cake decorator in a bakery. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't align with my health goals, and it's frosting and cake are a big weakness for me. I think that's why keto chow birthday cake is like one of my favorite flavors, because it allows me to have that flavor that I love so much in a way that's healthy and nourishing for my body. So hopefully keto chow will keep that one around because it is seriously my favorite. I have some birthday cake creamies ready to go in the freezer, and I think that might be lunch because again, it's birthday cake and I love it. I love baking. I've learned to bake. I've made sourdough from scratch, catching my own wild yeast, all that kind of stuff. So those are all things that we can do. We can find things that can enrich our lives. We can learn, we can grow, we can keep moving forward and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be just academics. One thing that they say too is we need to expand our knowledge. That's what it's all about. It's about expanding that knowledge and gaining new skills. And then it's also sharing that knowledge and sharing those skills, in a positive and healthy manner, one that is promoting to kindness and gratitude. And we're not just beating up people saying, oh, you're wrong. We're just like, hey, I heard it this way. And, allowing them the opportunity to go, I've never heard it from that perspective. I want to research that. I want to think about that. I want to reflect on it. That's what true intellectual wellness and growth is going to focus on. We want to be curious and be open-minded. We want to make sure that we're using our active listening skills, learning from the world around us and listening to others. Something that others say could ignite a spark for us that we want to learn about and research more about. And then pick up a hobby. If you don't have a hobby, pick up a hobby. The article that I'm going to talk about next week is all about the health benefits of having a hobby. And that was one article I had to read this week for school, because this week we're learning about biopsychosocial theory. So it kind of aligns with wellness in a really weird way. So I'll share that next week. They say travel, study abroad. Travel is I've not traveled outside of the United States, but it is something that I want to do in the future. I have not been blessed with the opportunities to do it. And right now, I'm not really blessed with too many opportunities to do it because of school. Because I have to work too. So it's not just school. I can't blame it on school. But it's school and work, and that's my priorities. And that's okay. But it means, I can do it at another point. They say go to seminars and conferences. The keto community has tons of them. Tons of them. If you've been around in the community for a while, you know about them. One that's coming up here in the Orlando area is Keto Orlando Summit. While I can't go for the whole conference, which I wish I could, maybe next year I'll be able to do it, but I am going. It's going to be my first conference for this. There's all kinds of conferences and seminars and events for whatever you're passionate about. Get involved. Go, do, learn from others around you. And engage in research. Research, it might be an autism thing for me, maybe not, I don't know. And maybe it just boils down to who I am as a person. I am someone who definitely considers himself a lifelong learner. I always want to keep learning, keep growing, keep moving, keep changing. It's something very passionate about me. So that covers intellectual wellness. The next one is environmental wellness. So it makes sense. I'm sure there's definitely activists in this area, and you don't need to be an activist, but you can be socially, you can be conscious of it and mindful of it and practice certain things that just make our environment around us better, make our world better. So what is that? It's to value relationships between ourselves, our communities, and the environment. So pick up after ourselves or others. I see that a lot at Disney. Some cultures don't pick up after themselves. So if you see it, pick it up. It's not that big of a deal. Just, making sure that we're being mindful of the planet. Make sure, that I know they're always concerned about aerosol and stuff like that. And, be mindful of it. Yeah, turn off lights when we're not using them. Those are all things to promote environmental wellness. Recycling. Donate clothing instead of throwing it in the landfill. You can't see it right now, but right next to me is a small pile of clothes that I need to donate, and I need to go back through my closet again. I just get semi-sad every time I do it. It's a happy thing overall, but lately I've been decreasing sizes fairly rapidly, so I'm buying clothes I love and I'm not getting to wear them as much as I would want to, which is fine ultimately, but it is a little sad when I have to get rid of new favorite pieces that I feel like I haven't gotten my enjoyment out of. There's some pieces where I'm like, okay, I wore that a ton. It's still in great shape. I'm okay letting it go to someone else. But sometimes I have some pieces that it's really sad. I had to pull out a bunch of my sweaters that no longer fit, and that I had made for myself, either that I had spun or that I had knitted, and that was really, really, really sad day for me. It's kind of bittersweet. I have unraveled one of them. I still have a few more that I plan on unraveling and using that yarn again. So I may not have time now to do it, but I will be able to take a beloved sweater. And my current plan is eventually just to knit the sweaters that they were already, because I loved those sweaters so much. So I'll use the yarn again to make them a new smaller size. So I'm still getting the enjoyment of knitting it a second time, as well as loving that yarn again and getting the enjoyment out of the whole project. It's just going to be something that it's just going to be a long-term goal, just because with school I don't get as much hobby time as I want. So those are ways that we can think environmentally about things. So yeah, using less plastics and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be anything major. It's something that we will define for ourselves and put a focus on for ourselves. So financial wellness. This is definitely an area that I need lots of help in. I get better through the years, but I'm still nowhere close to where I want to be. But I do have goals and I am working on it. So that's the biggest thing, is I am seeking to improve in this area. So financial is learning to successfully manage our expenses. So we can do this by creating budgets, making things at home instead of spending so much money on coffee out, which I am not a coffee drinker, but for us, we have a Wawa half a block away. My family goes up there typically once a day. This is something we are still struggling with, but we still know that it's an area where we could actually reduce and save ourselves some money. So just be conscious of those things. Do you have an area where you can change, where money is going out more than it should in a certain area? Is there other areas where you would rather have more money to spend, like say a ribeye budget? I would love to be able to eat ribeyes every day. I am nowhere close to having the ability to eat ribeyes every day, and that's fine. But if I want to have more of a budget for healthy foods, I've got to figure out where I can cut in other areas. So it's all about managing our finances, and planning for the future. Savings is a big part of financial health. I am not great at that. Managing our debt, keeping debt as little as possible, I think is another way. And I'm striving for that and learning. Like I said, the goal is not perfection. We'll never attain it. But we can be aware of these things and we can be working towards them and setting those goals again and making positive changes in them. All right, so here's one that we are all aware of as far as what is part of wellness, and this is our physical wellness. One thing I do want to say here, I know with the wellness movement, when I was researching, a lot of stuff is putting a heavy focus on self-care. Self-care is part of wellness, but it's not the only part of wellness. So yeah, self-care is important, but it's not the only part. I just want to stress that that taking a self-care only approach to wellness is not a healthy aspect or perspective of having wellness. So for our physical wellness, we want to have the ability to maintain our quality of life to that allows us to get the most out of our daily activities without fatigue or for physical stress. I wasn't always in a place where I was able to do that. There was periods in my time, and I'm just going to be totally honest, where I couldn't get up out of bed, whether that be physically. I've always been fairly active, but I do suffer from depression. It's been much, much better since I have moved to Florida and I'm being more active and I'm eating and I'm controlling aspects of my life. Also, getting my autism diagnosed really, really helped with that. That's also helped a lot with a lot of the anxiety I have. I still have anxiety. I will always have anxiety. I will probably always suffer or struggle with depression at times in my life, but I am not on medication, and that is a big goal for me. But I wasn't always able to make sure that the house was clean and stuff like that. I just wasn't physically able to do the things or mentally able to do the things that needed to be done on a daily life. So it was seriously impacted. And we want to be striving to change that aspect. We want to be able to have enough health, physical, mental strength, health to manage our daily lives and live an active full life, which again comes back to my mission statement, which is to empower and encourage women, especially, but men too, to live full, active lives and just go out and do. And even if all you can manage at now is just, hey, 1% better, I walked an extra time to the kitchen or whatever. We're constantly improving that, and we can only control what is evolved with ourselves and around us and our expectations. All right, so it says that we need to move our body. We all know this. I currently do a lot of walking. I pick something that you love doing. If you don't like doing it, you're not going to do it. It's going to feel like a punishment. We want something that is rewarding. I started on my physical health journey literally by just walking more than I always walk and making a physical point to actively walk above and beyond what I walk for my job, because I do walk a lot for my job. To get from my car to my job where I clock in is half a mile to 3/4 of a mile. I do a lot of walking around my job. So in my job, I probably walk about 8 to 10,000 steps a day. So I'm very active as far as steps go. But we also want to be active in our time, like maintaining, eventually working up to getting 30 continuous minutes of exercise or movement. Start where you can. If you can make it just to the mailbox and back, great. Do that. Do it every day. Go a little farther, push yourself a little farther, and keep building, keep growing, keep moving towards that. Once I got to the point where I was continually active with all my walking, I started adding running. I loved running as a kid. I am nowhere close to where I want to be with my running goals, but I love it most of the time. I'm not going to be a person who's going to be a marathoner or anything like that. Those are not my goals. I just want to enjoy a small light run every once in a while. Like my example today, I had to do my walk and my knee was bothering me, but I was doing my walk on the treadmill and getting my movement in, and there was a couple songs that came on, so I felt like I was running to those songs, so I kicked the speed up and I ran. I do push myself to keep going a little bit faster or a little bit longer depending on what it is, so I do it purely for the enjoyment. I'm not competing against anybody. I'm not out to win any records. It's just something that I enjoy. I enjoy swimming. I do have access to a pool, but there's usually kids in it because I live in a very apartment complex and it's summer. I'm probably going to take advantage of that more in the off season. We'll see. But yeah, pick something that you love. If you love riding a bike, go for a bike ride, rollerblading, roller skating, whatever. I know one activity that we want to start pursuing when we can afford the equipment, is we want to, or I want to. I don't know if Matt wants to, but I'm pretty much told him he's going to join me because I don't want to do it alone, is paddleboarding and or kayaking. So those are all physical activities that I really, really want to do. Living here in Florida, we have lots of state parks. We have lots of springs. I want to take advantage of those. I want to go out and enjoy outdoors and the environment, which again, it would apply to environmental wellness too. Get out and enjoy the environment. Experience your environment around you. All right, learn to recognize warning signs of illness. This one is very important because you can, if you're in tune with your body and how you're feeling, and you have that ability to look inward, you're going to notice when you are tired and honor that tired. The other day, what was it? Sunday, I went for a big walk and I got home and I ate and a thunderstorm happened and I was doing homework and I was feeling really tired. So I looked at my time frame and I looked at my schedule and I honored my tiredness by going ahead and taking a nap. I'm not a big napper because I tend to be one where if I nap, I have to nap for an hour to two. I am not a person who can do a quick nap cycle. A 10-minute nap does not work for me. A 30-minute nap does not work for me. So for me to take a nap, I need to actually take a nap, and it's going to take up some time. But I honored it. Another way that I honor when I'm feeling tired is I'll go to, hey, I'm feeling tired. I'm just going to go to bed early. And that's okay. I don't have to push myself to stay up or do other activities if there's not a hard deadline. So I honor that. Or if I'm feeling sick, I make sure that I am taking care of myself with plenty of water and electrolytes, right food. If I'm feeling sick and I don't feel like I can go to work, I do. I call out and I take care of myself and I listen to those warning signs. It's just like with my knee injury. A lot of times I think that because I am so aware of things that it gets taken out of context. Like I've done something major to feel this. It's like, not necessarily. I tweaked my knee. Did I injure it? Yes. Was it a major injury? Absolutely not. But I was aware of it. And I knew that I had an issue because of how my body was responding, how I was feeling. And I took care of it before it became a major problem. One thing I have realized in my past is if you don't take care of yourself and put yourself first, you will be provided with the opportunity to stop. You will get sick. You will get injured. You will be required at some point to rest. So learn to honor those feelings and manage those feelings and those physical changes and responses as they come to you. That's all a part about being whole and well. All right. What else do we got? Making sure that we are eating foods that make us feel good. And every person is going to have different foods that make them feel differently. For me, I do need to avoid sugar and wheat and processed carbs. Those do not make me feel good. They may taste good going in, but I don't feel great. I have to avoid soy. Soy causes a lot of inflammation for me, so I don't do anything with soy. Or if I do, it's usually if I'm out and I have if I'm at a restaurant and there might be some in the dressing. But I tend to keep those very much in perspective because that's not a normal thing for us, so I don't get a whole lot of them. Corn. I found corn was a problem for me. So yeah, it's just being aware and knowing. Some people have a lot of trouble with seasonings or vegetables or whatnot. So it's about finding what works for you. There's no right or wrong way to eat. I'm sure people will say that. I mean, I'm in the keto space and I live in the keto space and I eat a meat heavy diet because that's what makes me feel best. So you have to take the time to develop that and figure out what works for you. And that's not an overnight process. It's all about being able to look inwardly and introspect and process things, and you can't expect overnight results either. So make sure we're eating a diet that makes us feel good because we want to be able to be active and all those kind of things. Make sure we're managing our stress and our sleep. I know this gets talked about a lot, especially since all those things play into our ability to achieve our health and and lose weight. I mean, to lose weight, you have to manage stress. You have to be eating foods that make you feel good. You have to be getting plenty of sleep. All right, here's another one that I was not really aware of, but kind of like makes sense. Like, I didn't think of this aspect of being an aspect of wellness, but it's fantastic either way. So this is social wellness. And it makes a whole lot of sense. It's all about like our community and our relationships. And that's something that we definitely want to foster and grow and enrich. So social wellness, it focuses on building nurturing, meaningful, and supportive relationships. I cannot stress this enough. I mean, if someone's not supportive of you, they need not to be in your inner circle. So you're going to have your inner circle is going to be the people that are closest to you, have a lot of influence on your life. You want those people to be positive. You want them to be supporting you and nourishing you, and you want to be doing the same for them. That you want to have the people that are closest to you to be the most like-minded with you. Have the same goals. Then you're going to have your outer rim, where people are, yeah, you're involved with them, but maybe you don't always see eye to eye, or you have some different perspectives, but they can still influence you. And then you have your outer rim, which is going to be your people that you just, for your own health and sanity, you cannot have them in your lives. And it's okay to cut out people. It's okay not to have relationships with people. And that includes family. And sometimes I think family is the hardest one, but we do not have any involvement with my in-laws. They are, they're just not positive for us. They do not support us. They do not support our lifestyle. So we view them as very toxic. So they have been cut out. Could this change in the future? Possibly. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And like I said, we've just got to take care of ourselves and do what is right for us. All right, so this happens on an individual. We want to do it at the group level and as well as at the community level. So we can do this by creating boundaries that encourage communication, trust, and conflict management. We want to show respect to ourselves and to others and to cultures around us. So we can do this by keeping in touch with the supportive people in our lives. We want to let people know that they are important to us and that they have meaning to us. And we all get busy and we all have things that we're doing. So we may not always be able to contact our people. Like my best friend and I, we talk every 2 or 3 months at this point. Sometimes longer, and that's okay because we get on the phone and we talk to each other. We connect any way that we can. We both have very busy lives. We're going to use our active listening skills. We're going to participate in group discussions. We're going to join clubs and organizations, volunteer within our community. My favorite job to date was a volunteer job that I had in North Carolina. I was a client advocate at a pregnancy resource center. I absolutely loved it. I loved being there to support the women and the men that came in too, and just help them through a very difficult time or potentially very difficult time in their lives where they were facing an unplanned pregnancy and what should they do, and just be able to be there for them, to listen, to provide them with some information and opportunities. Contrary to what is often said about Pregnancy Resource Center, our goal is not necessarily to just bash you about abortion. No, it's about providing information and education and resources so that you have all the information that you need to make the best choice for you. And then if you do choose abortion and you do have negative consequences of that, we're there to support you as well. I'm not going into a whole lot of that, but that's just to share an example of what it is that was passionate about me and passionate about my life in that area. It's not something that will be talked about on this channel. It's just an example. All right. So yeah, go out, volunteer, find something that you love, whether that be Habitat or Humanities or whatever you're passionate about. Go out and volunteer, get that social wellness and that community aspect in your life. All right, and then spiritual wellness. Shouldn't be surprising to anybody. It wasn't really surprising to me. I know as I got older, as I was younger, religion was very, very, very important in our family, but we were involved in cults, and it was not always a healthy relationship. And I think when people think spirituality, they think exclusively religion. And that is not always true. Spirituality can encompass faith, or not. I'm not even going to say faith, because I think I can separate faith and religion. Faith is a part of religion, but not all religion is a part of faith. But that's just my personal reflection. All right, so to be spiritually aware, we want to be in tune with our inner selves. We want to be doing that reflecting. We want to explore the meaning of life. In psychology, we call it existential. So it's to learn the meaning of why are we here? What is our purpose? Those are all questions, again, that deal with wellness, and they're very much answered on a very individual level. Now, they can be group activities, but you still have to discover what spirituality means to you and what that is. All right, so we want to define our individual purpose. Again, why are we here? What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? Why? The bigger why questions. These can stem from our beliefs, from our values, from faith, on ethics, our morality, then all these that lead us to purpose and direction for ourselves. Spirituality allows us to be resilient and prepared for life challenges, because life does throw challenges. Life is not all butterflies and roses and, sweet treats. So, all those positive things that people always think about with life. We do have challenges, and we have to be resilient and be able to be adaptive and to learn and to grow and to handle those and the stress of those. So it says, think about who you are, practice mindful reflection or meditation. I'm not a meditator, but I do practice mindful reflection. It's a very introspective activity. Practice acceptance. Acceptance of who you are. You are amazing just the way you are. You just have to accept yourself for that. And that was not an easy thing for me either. Be curious. Ask questions. Learn, grow. It all goes in. Look for faith or religion that aligns with your views and your morals and all those things. So think about what morality looks for you, and ethics look for you. They're going to be different for every person. I mean, they can be very polarized, but again, you have to assess what works for you and identify with what works for you. So that is a really long overview of what wellness is. I hope you guys can see my passion and my excitement for this. I am looking forward to this special segment that we're going to do on a weekly basis. So again, if you have any ideas, you can either comment or you can send me an email at sarahsjoyfuljourney@gmail.com. I'll make sure that is linked in the show notes, or I'll create a new slide so that you have access to that if you want to send me topics that you would like to know more about, whether that be a hobby or stress or sleep or whatever topic that you would like me to discuss more about. I am happy to learn more and grow more and research different possibilities. It may take me a few weeks depending on what you suggest and my time frame, versus what I also have planned, but I'm super excited about this portion of this channel, and promoting that ultimate whole body, mind, spiritual, physical wellness within our lives and our communities. And I think that we're going to have endless opportunities to talk and learn and grow and apply, which is something that I am, again, very passionate about. I'm passionate about social change. I mean, social change is a big part of my university's goal too. It has to be part of my dissertation. I have to have a social change aspect of my dissertation. So these are all things I'm going to be thinking about learning and growing and studying. So I now get another avenue to share that with you guys and just have you guys think and absorb and ponder and agree with or not agree with, that's fine. And if you don't agree with it, that's cool too. I mean, not everything is right for everybody, but if you're being open and willing to listen, you can learn something new and see a different perspective that you didn't see before. And that's all about that growth. All right, just above all, remember kindness, and gratitude. All right, I hope you guys enjoy this and give us a big thumbs up and a like and subscribe so that you can be alerted every Wednesday when I upload my Wellness Wednesday video. We will talk to you guys next week. I hope you are interested to learn about our topic and how that can apply to wellness as I am, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.